reason why we're all here. We're going to start with Tom Werner, LeBron James, Maverick Carter, and Mike O'Malley. Come on out. So my first question, as you guys get seated, is going to be, LeBron, how do you think Miami feels? No, see, you think we're going to you think I was going to be different today? No, I'll just play. No, but you know what? Honestly, before I go to LeBron, I'm going to start with Maverick because I know a lot of the conceptual ideas started in the brain of lifetime experiences and being around lifetime experiences. Just give us an overview on how it came about.
I think, first off, Tom called me, who's LeBron and I's partner in our other business, in our management business, said he had an idea to make a TV show about a commercial we had made. And I said, Tom, what's your idea? And he started talking me through it about the world and the commercial you guys made, the Samsung commercial. And I said, well, Tom, I have this thing I deal with that I wanted to make a show about called Survivor's Remorse. And he's like, explain it to me. I explained it to him what it is, and it's exactly, kind of what you see in the show. And Chris talked about a bit before the show played about feeling guilty about taking progression in life and going places that family members have never been, and buying expensive things when I have family members who call me for rent money, and just dealing with that in my head and in my stomach. So, and we talked it through, and then we pitched it to Chris and the lovely team at Starz, loved the idea, and put it together. And I think, the show it's really about family, and it's really about coming together, and really about progression. And how do you deal with that? Do you, teach people to fish, or do you just give them fish? And how do you choose who not to? And if you're just going to give them fish, how long do you give them fish? And I think, the show is not about my life. It's not about LeBron's life, though I got whooped as a kid. My grandmother passed away, so she's not going to get in trouble. But yeah, the show is not about us, but it's about family, and I think that's what I want to shine through, because I think that's relatable to everyone.
Tom, we'll go to you next. You're probably, everyone knows about The Cosby Show.
Just had their 30th, just had their 30th anniversary.
30th anniversary. Well, this ain't no damn Cosby Show. So tell us how we got to this. I said, this ain't no damn Cosby Show. So how did we get to this?
Well, I think that the success of any good show is that it's authentic. And I remember watching an early episode of The Cosby Show with some people, and they said, how did he get into my house? And I think that show was relevant, and people said they wanted to be a Huxtable. I think this show is equally relevant. It's about people that, they're flawed, they mess up, but they're like my brother and my sister and my mother. And as Maverick said, it's about family. And it's about greed, and it's about gratitude, and it's about growing up.
And Mike, you set the tone by the language and what goes on. How did you come up with the tone? Because you can't be more than 5'11", so I know you didn't play. I don't remember you in any court. So how did you come up with the tone to kind of be so authentic in that environment?
Well, I think that when, Tom and Maverick, when I got together with them and we just talked about the characters and the ideas, as we began to really flesh out the characters and think about it, I just tried to put myself in the imaginary circumstances of these characters. I think that they're really striving for something, but they come from a rough background. They're forced now to live their lives under a microscope, and how do they manage that? And I think that was that duality that I thought was very interesting. We have athletes who have to give very polished performances when they're speaking to the media, yet when they're dealing with something off camera, how they're human beings. They're struggling with the right thing to say, with the right thing to do, and everyone's giving them a ton of different advice. But one of the things as a writer that's great about working on a television show is you have so many people helping you. You have the actors helping you. We had a great writing staff. All the writers are here today. Can you stand up, guys? Because you guys are such a great writer. Casey Oliver, Joanne Harrison, Sasha Daniel Massey, was a Vic Levin, Cole Jefferson. Did I get everybody? I believe so. And so they were just a really great writing staff. And so from the beginning, when we came in and we really started to talk about the show, we debated these things. And you know, when you have great executive producers, they also help you with the tone. You know, the great thing about working with Starz and working on a cable show, you know, on a cable network with these guys, is they really gave us the freedom to try to do all of that.
So easy question. LeBron, do you have survivor's remorse?
Yeah, I do. And just like Maverick said, this was, you know, the reason part of the show was created because we kind of go through some of the same things of feeling guilty about certain things that go on in your life, and you know, like Maverick brought up the situation, you know, you buy things that's very expensive, you know, either cars or jewelry or whatever the case may be, or you gambling in Vegas or whatever, and you lose a bunch of money, and then a family member will call you, and you tell them you ain't got it, and it's you know, and it puts you into a mindset or a mind frame where it's hard to get out of it because you start feeling guilty about it. You start feeling guilty saying, well, I just lost a bunch of money in Vegas, but you know, a family member just called, and you know, obviously they called. It's not the first time they called, by the way. Put that shit out there right now. About the 12th time they called this month, and you have to tell them no. So you know, your mind kind of goes. So yes, I do have it.
You know what? You have a team of guys that grew up with you, that manage you, manage your career, negotiate your contracts. That's not traditional way. So how did you come up with that? And was that started as this and evolved into something different? Or explain that situation, because you have this, it's four of you guys that manage it.
Yeah, it's four of us, myself and Maverick, and you know, Rich Paul and Randy Mims is up there. They like to be behind the scenes, but Rich was actually not behind the scenes this summer too much. But you know, I think it comes a lot from being an only child. You know, being in my household and having to become the man of the household very fast, and you know, having that empowerment. I felt empowered. You know, when I knew I had to grow up faster than maybe the kids if they had a father or if they had an older brother. You know, I was the only child. You know, I was in a single parent household, so I had to grow up very fast, and you know, it just always stuck with me throughout grade school, throughout high school, and when I became a professional, you know, I went the traditional way of signing an agent, and you know, thought that was the way to do it because it was traditional, and you know, I didn't feel like I felt when I became the man of the house when I was 7 years old. And, you know, the only way for me to get back to that position is if I empower the guys around me, and that was always my thing. I always wanted to empower people around me. So I got rid of my agent, and we started our own firm, started our own marketing company called LRMR, and you know, it was with the guys that, you know, I've trusted, the guys that I grew up with, guys that I believed in, and you know, people basically said that I was making the worst decision ever. Why would I give opportunities to three guys that didn't finish college, had no education about what sports marketing means, what being a professional is, don't know how to you know, make money or build a brand, and you know, we got dirt thrown on all four of us. For me, making a decision to the three guys that I had, and, you know, I always just believed in those guys, and we didn't care. We used that as motivation, and you know, we're here today.
And I think that's one thing I'd like to say. Just thank you to LeBron for, you know, empowering me to make this show, and Tom and I, and bringing on Tom and Mike as our partners in this show, and then Starz, and obviously all the writers. And thank you to the cast; they were wonderful. But you know, I think LeBron does a fantastic job of that. That's what he does best. If you watch him play basketball in business, he empowers the people around him to go out and do their jobs. He trusts people to do their job. He trusts talented people to go out and do their jobs, and that's what he did on this project. He set us up to go out and make this show that we made. Hopefully you guys all enjoy it.
You know, when I watched the show, and I watched more episodes, actually, I watched and I said, as a pro athlete, everyone has to make those decisions. Now, the destination is the same, but the way maybe he went to do it is maybe a different path at times. But the destination of what that decision has to be made by every pro athlete, I think, at one time. So, Mike, my next question would be, what voice do you want this show to have?
I'm not sure. I think that I just really I really am interested in just writing about people. I'm really interested in writing about how this young man and the people around him cope with fame and fortune and their relationships with one another, and how those relationships get they strengthen and they get corrupted. And I think that as a writer, you can really kind of just take an issue or a story, bat it around, give both sides to it, and then just sort of let the character, who obviously is a fake person, make some bad decisions, so there's conflict, and then see the consequences of those decisions. I don't want to kind of make any moral judgment about a character, because I think when you do that, then it seems as if you're you're either trying to put a view out there. I think that if you can see the consequences of a character's behavior, good and bad, an audience member draws their own conclusion on those things. And so I actually have tried, and I think that the writing staff and Starz and certainly all these guys have helped me to just, let's make it interesting stories about these people. I think, if you try to have a voice, then it becomes one thing too much. And so we just try to find great stories.
And I think, Mike, one thing that Mike did for me when we would be together, we spent a ton of time working on the scripts. Like, he'd show me a script, and for instance, like the abortion line at the press conference, where Cam says, "Mom, thank you for not aborting me." I said to Mike, that sounds screwed up. Why would he do that? He shouldn't say that. It just felt wrong to me. And Mike said, "Man, what you have to understand is you're thinking about it from a 32-year-old man who's been in this business 12 years, in the sports management business for 12 years. You have to take that hat off. We have to set characters up to go somewhere. We have to set him up and let him fail and screw up and say the wrong thing in a press conference." So hopefully Starz in season 6, he can be polished.
Season 12.
Chris is clapping. Thanks, Chris. So Mike had to teach me that, like, take that hat off. Take the hat of a 32-year-old guy who's been through ups and downs and got destroyed by the media, built up and people loved and hated. Take that hat off and think about this guy as a guy who just spent 4 years in Memphis, not being a star, not being anything, and all of a sudden he's holding a press conference. He's going to say some things he shouldn't say.
I was going to say what Maverick just said about season 6, but the last time I said not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, the shit didn't go over too well, so I let it back. I was going to say that, I was like, I was getting a couple phones out, and I was like, let me hold that one to myself.
That was good. So Tom, you being as LeBron is the veteran on his new Cleveland team, you're the veteran here, and so what was your words and how did you help put this team together and give them a direction from a veteran's point of view?
Well, I think the best thing you can do is find great talent around you. I think we've got a great cast. Ken Whittingham set the table by having...
where's Ken, the director? Stand up. That's the director right there. He directed the first 2 episodes. Did a great job.
I want to thank Starz. Somebody said to me on the red carpet, says, "Why is this show not on NBC?" And I said, "There's 3 words, fuck them chinks." And which of those words would be on NBC? So, we had a network that wanted the show. They wanted us to do the show the way we saw it, which is authentic and honest. And I go back to what Maverick said. There was something in that Samsung commercial that LeBron and Maverick did that we see so much television and movies, and they seem like they're copying things, and there's something so authentic about that commercial, about LeBron, about Maverick's voice, about Mike's voice. So I think we're on to something because it's really an original show.
By the way, the guys who worked on that are in this room too. They kind of spawned the idea. I want to say thank you there.
LeBron, there's a lot of, pro athletes. I would consider myself a pro athlete. Former. But then there's superstar. There's Jordan. There's Magic. There's yourself. There's different remorse levels and different things that you have to adjust to that even the regular guys on your team don't have to deal with. Do you expect to see some of those things without giving them all away in the future episodes, just in terms of the decisions, not maybe the same path, but the decisions?
Well, absolutely. And one thing that you have to understand when making a decision is, for me personally, anytime I've made a decision, someone's been good, someone's been bad, you have to deal with it. You have to be able to look in the mirror and face it face to face, and not blame anyone for whatever decision that you make. And the best thing you can have is a great supporting cast as well. And as you see in the show with Cam Calloway, he doesn't, see eye to eye with his cousin every day, with his sister. Obviously, you see, she said, cut the check. But that is his supporting cast, and at the end of the day, when things really go from sugar to shit, he has to have someone that he can rely on, and that's your supporting cast, and your family, and the people that you can count on. So, for me, the decisions I've made over my career thus far, I've been able to rely on the people that I can trust, and then at the end of the day, I look in the mirror at myself and saying, okay, well, you still have to figure it out, because I'm ultimately, Cam Calloway is the one that's living in it. He has to deal with it.
Well, another thing, what makes you say no, and what makes you say yes, as I take notes?
I'm going to take notes too. There's a couple episodes I get out of this.
And your fifth cousin who just walked in probably taking notes too.
How the hell he get here? From Akron all the way down there? Man, that was for me, I was 17 years old, going on 18, and I received a 7-year contract worth almost about $100 million from Nike. And everybody in my hometown thought they received a 7-year deal for about $100 million. So, and I come from, just like Cam Calloway said, I'm listening, Schindler's List. I'm helping everybody. And I think the best thing for me, is when I learned how to say no. And the hardest person to say no to was my mother. It was hard as hell because, my mother is everything to me. On Father's Day, I give her Father's Day cards, and everything that I do was predicated on her. But at the end of the day, there were certain things in my life that I had to say no to her for the better of us. And when I got to that point, if I said no to my mother, I can say no to anybody. Yeah, I can say no to anybody. Once I said no to her for the first time, she was like, okay. I believe I said that. It was easy after that.
So Maverick, as we talked about season 6, where are we progressing this for the remainder of the season?
I think, the progression of the show is just to continue to develop the characters and continue to develop their bond, but also very important to continue to show their failures and how they recover from those failures together. And sometimes they may have to be apart for a while together, but I think all of the characters in our principal cast who did a phenomenal job. And as you talked about Tom, who made one of the most successful TV shows in the history with an all-black cast, that was very important to me to show all the principals being all African American. The show that's a great show is building those characters and showing them going through their ups and downs, how they deal with it, how they deal with each other, how they handle each other, and I think that's the development of the show.
Either Tom or Mike can answer this. What will Cam Calloway, we will never see him do?
Mike, take it.
I don't know. That's a great question. I think he's good.
He will never
dunk on LeBron.
That video got clipped one time when that happened anyway.
He would never ever abandon his family. He will always, in some way, shape, or form, be connected to his family.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've witnessed in being around LeBron and Maverick and their friends is just how much of a strong bond that they have, how much they really care about one another, how much they protect one another. support one another, and it's a very inspiring thing to be around, to see friendship portrayed the way that it is. What I really love about this cast, and I know they're out there. Where are they, cast? Stand up, you're so amazing. Mike, Tashina, Mary, Erica, Enrico, Jesse, it's so great. And what's so great about them is that, you write them and then they take the part and just breathe incredible life into them. And you begin to think of them when you start writing the episodes. And I think that obviously it is a very adult show. It is a very, profane at times, maybe most of the 25 minutes of each episode. But this is a great answer I'm giving over here. Amazing.
This is me and Mike all the time.
My wife, please, a round of applause for my wife and all the friends of mine from my son's baseball league. They're here too. Wrap it up. Ask LeBron another question. I'm interested in what he has to say too.
Okay, well,
Take a couple questions.
There's been
we didn't plan on it.
There was no plan because to do this, but we'll take some questions. Just speak loudly because I can't run out there because they used to call me the Jet, but I'm a prop plane now. So I'll get to you. So you go first. Yeah.
Wow. Never heard that. That's the first time I heard that.
It's really funny, but there's some lines that your mouth just drops open. How do you edit yourself?
You don't.
You've
You
never
don't
been to the
edit
writer's
yourself.
room.
I mean, I think that's really, if you're going to really kind of do an authentic show about how people, because we really wanted to kind of do a fly-in-the-wall circumstance, or situation where if you see a professional athlete who has to give very polished answers and say the right thing, what is it like when the doors are closed? And you have to just imagine people saying the worst things, and then you say them.
That's also goes for writers who sit here and give very polished answers. You should see him behind closed doors. That doesn't relate to just professional athletes. That's everyone. People that work give polished.
Yeah, and then when they're with their friends, they say other things. But I think that's it. I think that you really can't lean on your pen, and you can't think about who you're going to offend. If a character says an offensive thing, there sometimes needs to be comeuppance.
All right. I know there's a lot of also notables that came in, so I saw them as they come in. But we shout out Drake and Jeezy from the rap community out here.
Yeah.
Supporting the movement. Any more? We got two more. We're gonna get two more questions. Just raise your hands like school. Oh, way up in the balcony. Go ahead. Speak loudly.
Yeah. Schindler was successful in saving thousands of people. Has there been a example of a basketball player who has been similarly successful in saving?
Well, he's on the stage right here. Right here.
That's good.
Stand up. I think as far as Schindler's List, for me, LeBron's list is being able to empower people not only around you but complete strangers. And us being able to shoot this TV show created 200 jobs for people that weren't working at the time. Everybody from the director, assistant director, AD, people that work at craft services, makeup, people that you would have that would never show up on after the end of the show and all the names get put up. 200 jobs for a 3-month period was amazing. So. Schindler's List is definitely something that is more traumatic than we're going through right now. But any way you have an opportunity to empower someone and give people an opportunity to live, got a good deed from it, I think.
That was the last question because it was a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our